You show me what you got. I'll tell you where to put it.
I'm pulling them right now because it feels good.
Oh, I mean, Finnan really is a fucking babe. I mean, the accent.
Welcome back, Pot Coven. We are on our second episode of this astrology block, and today we are going to talk about the planets which rule the days of the week. So that's fun. I'm excited. I love niche knowledge.
Right. Yeah, this one was fun to research because it took like a little snooping and also just some like reflection, about how to do this.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like some of it, I'm like, okay, I found other people who've actually written about it, and then there's certain parts of it that I'm like, oh, this is not a complete summary, so now I got to fill in the blanks with my own knowledge and reasoning, but I find that fun. Yeah, it's kind of like putting a case together. You're like, I'm a detective, an astrology detective. Coolest job ever.
Yeah. Ella is very into being an astrology detective now. I feel it. I feel like that there's definitely an astrology detective out there somewhere, at least one, if not many. Before diving into this episode, you were born on. So, are you born on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? You should be able to find that out online. I don't remember how I first did it, but I'm sure you can plug it into a calculator that will tell you what day of the week you were born on.
Yeah, just put your date into any, like what I did was I used my phone's calendar and I just changed it to June 1991, and then I just went and looked at my date and I'm like, oh, okay, there we go. Yeah. So it was quite easy. It was pretty easy to find out. So this should be, as long as you know your birth date, you should be all good.
Including the year.
Yeah. Yes, you do need to know the year, the day, and the month, but as long as you know those things, which I feel like a majority of people do, I feel like this should be one that you can actually like find your exact which one is yours. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So essentially what we'll be doing is going through the days of the week and talking about how to work with the planet that rules that day. So it's actually like the planets and the gods and goddesses are the namesakes for the days of the week. I think in most every language. I know I watched a Hank Green video on it recently because he was talking about how funny English is because we just pull from so many different pantheons to name our days of the week, whereas like other languages just stick to like one pantheon. So we'll be hopping all over the place with this. So we'll start by talking about the moon because that's Monday, Moon Day. And this is what witches most commonly work with, which makes sense if we're going very, very gender normatively, if we're looking at it like that. A lot of women and period having people are drawn to witchcraft. And so, we have a natural inclination towards the moon because the moon has 13 cycles per year, and so do we, or at least, many of us do or have in the past had that. So we tend to be drawn to the moon. So probably most of you guys listening have worked with the moon before, right?
Yeah. Well, even like, the more quote unquote masculine aspects of it, like fishermen, hunters, and farmers also all use the moon. So it's really like, it's something we can all see and that we all have like just even a basic understanding. Even if people aren't following moon cycles, like you can look outside and kind of see, like as long as the moon is, doing its thing, it's up in your sky that you can see it, like you can find out about what the moon's doing. So it's a very available resource for people to work with.
Right.
And you don't have to be well versed in astrology to be able to understand what it's doing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because it's so close to us. I mean, as far as the celestial bodies go, like the moon is so close to us and directly affects every person, whether you want to admit that or not. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you definitely know that the moon affects us all, but it does. It does. So
it's pretty common in mental hospitals, things like that, for them to talk about the phase of the moon, specifically full moons. But and how it affects the patients around them. But not only that themselves, they're just not always aware of that.
Right. I know that like police officers will, be aware of the fact that like, oh, it's a full moon, like there's usually higher crime rates or maybe not even crime, but just more people calling in and
More weird things happen.
yeah, more, yeah.
More energy.
Any kind of job that requires being in contact with people who need help, I think, understand the effect of the moon.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll start with, if you were born on a Monday, then working with the moon is going to be especially important for you. The moon moves very quickly through its orbit. It only takes, 28 days to make its full orbit. And there are 4 main moon phases. So that's the new moon, first quarter moon, full moon, and last quarter moon. For me, the full moon, I mean, not the full moon, LOL, the new moon, I just like to set intentions and set up my altar on that day. I know people do like spell work, but I just like try to tap in with like, okay, where am I at and where am I trying to go?
Yeah. That's usually the day I plant things, like in my garden. Like the new moon is where I stop harvesting and I'm like, okay, we're working on planting and getting these things to grow.
Nice. What about you, Jess? Do you work with the new moon?
I actually don't work with the moon a whole lot at the moment. I'm just not called to. But when I was working with it, it's more like that's the day that I would plant things, like you were saying, setting the altar, planting the seed, seeing what it is that I'm wanting to cultivate over the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I took this last moon phase off, or this last cycle off, but I think the Monday the 16th will be the new moon in Scorpio. The last couple moons of the year are a bit tricky for sure. We're coming into eclipse season and there's just like a lot of stuff happening. So I might not do spell work, but I'm gonna work with her. I mean, it's gonna be a new moon in Scorpio. That's my moon, so gotta set up an altar for her.
Oh yeah, definitely.
On the first quarter moon is when I actually usually do my spell work, because in the week between the new moon and the first quarter moon is when I like notice, like sometimes I'll set the intention of what I want and then some stuff pops up in my life that I go like, oh, okay, actually it was a little bit more like this. I notice the tweaks that need to be made in myself or in my intention. And so then I'm ready to do the spell work, which is usually sigil work and candle work. Like those are my 2 favorite things.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was thinking for this phase from my magic gardening experience, it's kind of like the fertilization. You're like, okay, we've started doing it, but where can we improve? What can we add? What can we stop doing? So yeah, this is usually the time where I'm like grinding up eggshells and pouring coffee grounds and shit all into my plants and like replacing them all over. I'm like, all right, what needs to change to make this go better?
Nice.
I do a lot of journaling and candle work.
I like that.
Yeah. I actually got into the habit of, on the new moon, I will create a tarot spread based on my intention. And so I do that with every moon phase and journal about it. Yeah, I mean, journal a handful of time. Yeah, it's fun because then you see how it changes from week to week. And it reminds me to read for myself.
Yeah, that's important.
It is important. If you're looking for a sign to read your own cards, this is it. So then on the full moons are about release. Why am I blanking on what I usually do on the full moon?
Because you released it.
Yeah. I mean, that one, it really depends every time. Yeah. Sometimes I'll just like write stuff on a piece of paper and then like rip it up, or I'll burn it, or I'll bury it. But yeah, like things, it's a lot of shadow work for me. So things that are popping up, if I'm trying to call in a mentor and then I notice stuff about me that's like really a block in that direction, I'll write that stuff down and get rid of the evidence.
Yeah, I'm kind of like spiritually like a cave person, I enjoy the warm, comfortable darkness. So when the full moon comes out, I'm like, it's too much light. So yeah, every now and then with the full moon, I'm just like, journaling, sobbing, questioning my life, questioning every decision I've made. I'm like, it's too much. So I try to play it mellow. I typically like, I treat it like my moon cycle, my inner moon cycle, where I'm like, you know what? When it's full and like just peak at its climax, like let's just cozy in and let it ride and do its thing. So I try to lean into that, like, okay, these are things that I have to deal with. It's a little uncomfortable. I don't feel great being spotlighted by all the emotion and the reaction that I face, but I'm like, you know what? Just take it and also take care of yourself. So I do a lot of self-care. I'm like, just nurture yourself, you poor little baby.
I really like doing visualization meditation, specifically
Ooh.
like in the shower. So I'm
I
just
like
like
that.
envisioning it, washing it all away and down the drain.
Nice.
That's
That's a good one.
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna try that next time I get overwhelmed. I'm gonna be like, okay, let's just wash it all down the drain.
I've written stuff on me, like, washable markers. If you write it on yourself and then wash it off in the shower.
Ooh,
That's
I
cool.
like that.
That's cool.
That one's fun. So then the last quarter moon, this is where I practice gratitude for what I already have. So, whatever my intention is, I just take note of where it's already showing up in my life. Like if you're doing an abundance, even if it's specifically money that you are trying to call in to help you pay rent that month or buy your friend a birthday gift, on the last quarter moon, that's when you say like, yo, I have a $5 bill in my wallet and that's awesome. I can't wait to spend that and put that out into the world. And, there is a paycheck coming to me and I'm also abundant in this way and that way. And I have so many things. So I use it for gratitude. I know people use it for different things, but that's where I kind of just like focus on like, it's already mine. I've got it.
Right.
It's here already.
It's kind of like just a reflectionary period.
Yeah.
But bringing the gratitude in, then you're like, now I can have more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's typically like a harvest time in my little garden. Like anytime after the full moon, as it starts kind of darkening again, I'm like, okay, let's trim things back. Let's harvest the bounty. And, I live in a tropical zone, so I have a full year-round grow season. There's always something to do. But yeah, that's usually the time when my room fills up with all the herbs I'm trying to dry or like orders, finishing up. So super fun.
I love
like
that.
it.
I love hearing about what you do with your garden because it's so perfect. It exactly reflects spell work. I mean, it is, but it's just such a different hands-on approach to it, and yet it's the same. I love it.
Yeah. Well, my sister and I were talking about this not long ago, but like our mom is quite a witchy person. Like, she's always had a garden. She's always been like, if she's gonna heal you, it's gonna come from her kitchen, like that kind of shit. And she has always been someone who like knows what the fucking moon phase is. And I never really thought about it. I didn't think it was really that special until I started doing, working with magic. I'm like, oh, I get this now. I get why my mom was like, ooh, it's a full moon. We're gonna go check what's ready. Yada da da da. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure, mom, whatever. Like, let's go. Take the basket out, get the peppers and shit. So that's always been my relationship with the moon, is that like farmer kind of energy. So I still hold on to it. It's fun.
I love it. All right, there you go. That's the rundown of how to work with the moon. All right, it's time to hear about Tuesday. All of our Tuesday babies. Who and what should they be working with?
So Tuesday is often referred to as Mars Day. It is named after the Norse god Thor, or I may be pronouncing that wrong. It's spelled Tyr, but with the little asterisk thingy above the top. Other languages, man. I gotta learn them. So he is a war god of law and justice, and he's known for his heroism and combat. So during Tuesday, or if you're born during Tuesday, if you decide to work with this energy, you're going to work with the energy of action and executing intention. It's a very assertive energy. This would be a good day to start projects and make decisions. And you can work with the colors of red and orange, iron and steel. You're going to have thistle, holly, coneflowers, and cacti. These are all plants with sharp points. crystals are going to be rubies and garnets. And it's a great time to work with conflict against enemies, and it's also a good time for marriage discussions. So spells and magic work are going to focus in the realm of protection and initiation and asserting yourself into what you're trying to bring forth.
I like that. That makes sense. I mean, just based on Mars energy. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Get shit done.
Yeah. Something I was reflecting upon taking my notes for my days was like, okay, like I understand all this energy. Like, what kind of special power does that give people born on that day? I feel like for Tuesday people, it's like when you put your like energy and focus and drive into a goal, like you have like it's yours, like think of like the energy of Mars, like the bull. Like I feel like they've probably got like a good amount of like focus and energy to bring a goal about.
I was reading something that said like their actions and their actionable force could burn down the world, but then their loving action can help build it back up again. So it's also a lot to do with like destruction before you can have something.
Yeah, it's like a prescribed burn for a forest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Cool.
So Mars orbits, or its transit is 45 days, and it goes retrograde every 2 years for 58 to 81 days, is what I looked up. And we are currently in a Aries retrograde until the 13th.
Yeah. So Friday it stations direct.
But we'll be in its shadow until the 2nd of January.
Yeah, it's been in Aries forever because its retrogrades are so long, because usually Mars stays in a sign for about 2 months. So it's a relatively, shorter compared to the outer planets. But we have been in Mars energy for so long now.
Is this why I feel like I need to do shit but can't?
Yes.
Because I've been panicking the last few months, being like, I need to get shit done. And then other side of me is just like, Len, I'm so tired.
So
I need
Friday,
to rest.
You'll start feeling the reprieve a little bit.
Thank
Right.
God.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Friday will feel like Friday's definitely a day also not to push yourself, even though it's stationing. But station days are kind of weird because it kind of like hangs in suspension. So it's not a good day to start anything new. Good thing it's a Friday. I feel like generally the energy is not to start something new. But yeah, just listen to your body, listen to the energy.
Mm-hmm.
This Power of 3 episode has been brought to you by Tonic Vibes CBD products. Tonic's original CBD blends are handcrafted in small batches with purposeful plant-based ingredients. Using herbs like ashwagandha and superfoods like black seed oil, Tonic elevates the benefits of CBD to create a powerful way to heal the body, calm the mind, and restore balance. Their hemp-derived CBD and botanical blends create a completely holistic method to help you feel your best and #FixYourVibe. Use code WITCHY at tonicvibes.com for 10% off your order.
This episode of the Power of 3 podcast is brought to you by Shock Rubs, because sex is magic. Shock Rubs is the first crystal sex toy company. Their sex toys are made from natural crystals that bring a sense of sacredness to your playtime. These beautiful handcrafted tools are created with the intention of opening oneself up to the healing properties that crystals provide. All toys are body safe, made from the earth, and provided with love. They create harmony in mind, body, and spirit, remove blocks caused by sexual trauma, create deeper intimacy with the self and with your partner, and even encourage self-awareness and mindfulness. So use the code WITCHYWISDOM on shockrubs.com at checkout for 10% off your purchase today.
All right. Wednesday?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh,
Hold
sorry.
on. I have a question for our astrologer in the chat. If you were going to work with this within your own chart, would you do so by finding where Mars is at in your chart and working on those areas during the transit? Or would you find, what was the other way I was trying to say that? I don't know. How would you work with it during
I
transit?
think I understand what you're saying. Yeah, so if I was born on a Tuesday, I would get really familiar with my Mars placement and just like really understand what it's making aspects to and really understand the energy of the sign and the house it's in. I would keep track of where Mars is transiting in the sky and where it shows up in your chart. So right now it's in Aries. So if I was born on a Tuesday, it would be in my second house. So I would probably do magic around second house stuff, which is money, possessions, and self-worth. Now, I have I guess once it goes into Taurus, because that's the next thing I would have. So say it was transiting through Taurus, or when it eventually does, when it aligns with my well, that's where my Mars is, but we'll pretend it's a different planet. We'll pretend it's Venus. So when it aligns with Venus, I would take into account like, oh, this is a good time now to do maybe focus on love or beauty, or, I would pay close attention to how it moves through your chart. So the way to do that is to figure out what degree and sign it's in, and then go to your chart and find that area of your chart, and that's where it is moving. That's intermediate astrology, because then you have to understand the 12 houses. But we've talked about the 12 houses on this old podcast before, and they're easy enough to look up. So if you're interested in it, if that sounds cool and excites you, definitely do the research, get into it.
Listen to all of our astrology episodes.
Shamelessly plugged.
Here you are.
I think we're allowed to shamelessly plug our own podcast on our podcast.
I feel like we are allowed to shamelessly do a lot of things on this podcast.
That's true.
As long as it's shamelessly. That's the only rule.
That's true. No shame on this podcast.
Anti-shame.
No shame in this game.
I'm shaming your shame.
Right?
All right. Well, now it's time for Wednesday.
Yay, Wednesday. Okay, so there's Wednesday is associated with the planet Mercury, which is also I can't remember if it's the Roman or the Greek god, but I feel like it's the Roman god. Yes. He's the messenger of the gods, which is appropriate because Wednesday is a good day for communication. Mercury is also the planet that rules Gemini and Virgo, so you can get a little bit of that energy in there too. So it facilitates communication. That can be with people or with entities. If you work with, soul guides or ancestors or anything like that, deities. You can also do magic to increase your mental powers. From a magical herbalist point of view, also rosemary is a great herb to use for mental powers. You can also do magic for travel protection. We all know about retrograde Mercury kind of fucking up travel plans and such, or making car accidents. So it's a good day or energy to use if you're going to be traveling to protect yourself. Also good for negotiating contracts and business deals, or improving your relationship with your siblings and your neighbors. One of the other gods it's related to is Woden, which is a Germanic god. And I believe he's like I was just talking about this with my husband. I know he's the god of war, but he's the god of a few other things too. So kind of like, a charge forward kind of energy. Like, we're doing this, we're going. It remains in each house between a couple weeks to a couple months, just kind of depending on the orbit. The full orbit is 88 days, and it stations retrograde every 4 months. That's why every now and then you just fucking can't. You can't even, and that happens. It's okay. Let's see. Some of the crystals that you can work with are aquamarine, quartz, and is it agate or agate? I don't know how to say it. Agate, thank you. I don't know my crystals well. I'm sorry. And then some of the plants that you can use, honeysuckle. That's one of my favorite smells ever. I love honeysuckle. Cedar. That's another one of my favorites. Oh my God. Dill, parsley, fennel, lavender, ferns, endive. Lots of fun shit. But lavender and honeysuckle are two of the mains that you kind of associate with Mercury / Gemini. That's me. Okay, and then an aspect between transiting Mercury and a natal planet lasts 1 to 3 weeks. So that's how long you'll feel the sting as it comes over whatever it's dealing with. And as it moves through a house, through whichever house it's in, you tend to talk or think about those things related to the affairs of that house. So like if it's in the 6th house, you might be like talking and thinking about your health or your workplace a lot, like stuff like that. Or if it's, in your 12th house, you might be like kind of cutting ties with people, like, oh, okay, we're done with this, and talking about it, communicating those things. So again, if you know your houses, go check them out and look at it. Is there anything else I didn't touch on that I think that's about it.
Nice. What kind of magic and magical tools would you think someone born on Wednesday might be naturally adept at?
It's an air energy, so I'd say probably using an athame or something like that. It's a direct energy. It's not a wrecking ball. It's like a pin or something, it's the needle they use to give you a shot or something, it's a direct energy, but it's also, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I understand. Well, maybe it's because I'm watching your hand do the movements.
Yeah. Imagine your hand trying to throw a dart at a dartboard. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, it's a pointed energy where you're direct to the fucking point, and you're this is what's happening with me. This is what's going on, and you can acknowledge it and kind of communicate it.
Yeah, exactly. Communicate it. I feel as you were talking, it came to me because at first I was I wasn't sure. I feel if you're born on a Wednesday, mantras and incantations, actually speaking it out loud.
Yeah, using your voice.
Yeah, even writing it down as well. Journaling is something everyone should do, but maybe having it written down, your intentions, and speaking them out loud, and having incantations, I feel that would be important for a Wednesday person.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot.
And mantras and can be very much, that idea of a dart going through the air, because it's you're just saying it in the most simplest present tense, this is the truth, this is it, boom. Weird. You're unmuted, but I can't hear you,
Can
Jess.
you hear me now?
There we go.
Okay. I figured out what the button on my headphones were for.
Yay.
So I feel they're going to be pretty inclined at divination. Not necessarily just reading cards, but any kind of communication with spirit.
Yeah. Communication with spirit. Definitely.
Yeah. I agree. It's a very communicative thing. So if you're trying to speak to an entity or receive messages from your guides or, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time for that.
Words.
Potentially even a great day for anyone who's not born on that day to work with that kind of energy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing about listening to all of these, is that even if you're not born on a Tuesday, if you were listening to that energy and you were oh, that's very aligned to something that I'm trying to manifest or something I'm trying to do spell work around, just do your spell work on a Tuesday, and also look into Mars and whatnot. You can use all of this stuff, but it is definitely interesting to look at it through the lens of okay, but how could this be something a little bit more special, or just I don't know, a natural gift for people born on these days. Mm-hmm. I feel for Wednesday, looking at, working with Mercury and having a special relationship magically with Mercury, knowing whether or not you have a natal Mercury retrograde is important. I feel like if I was a Wednesday person and I had my natal Mercury retrograde, which many people do because it goes retrograde all the time, I would do spell work during a retrograde because that's when you're going to feel the energy that is most akin to your natural rhythms. And then I would maybe avoid doing spell work when it's not retrograde and vice versa in your chart. You don't have to, but that's just something I was thinking about for all you Wednesday people. It might be something interesting to try out and see how it works and how it feels. All right. Thursday, we ready for it?
Thursday. Thursday is the day that Jasmine and I were born.
Woohoo! Bless Jove.
So it is Thor's day. It is ruled by Jupiter. Thor is also the god of like storms, fertility, and strength. I forgot that part. Jupiter is going to help attract abundance, expansion, and opportunity. It's a great time to learn something new and reflect on accomplishments, and specifically showing gratitude towards the accomplishments that you do make. Colors that are good to work with during this time would be blues and greens. Deities to work with: Thor, Zeus, and Jupiter. Metals would be tin. Crystals: turquoise, amethyst, lapis lazuli. Herbs: honeysuckle and oak trees. I really like oak moss, so that one really caught me when I was reading it. I bought that a while ago before I knew any of this about the days of the week or like even that I was born on a Thursday. So I was like, hell yeah for alignment. So this, if you're born on a Thursday, they're going to be, the magic that you want to work with is going to be about honor, loyalty, and harvesting. So abundance and declaration of allegiance are good on Thursdays, as well as embracing your own prosperity.
I like that it's the day before payday for a lot of people. That's kind of cool.
That's hella funny.
Embrace the prosperity. Paychecks are coming.
So Jupiter is a 12-year orbit. Like it takes 12 whole years to make a rotation around the sun.
It retrogrades every 13 months for 4 months.
Yeah, so what? It was retrograde this month because like we have been in a Capricorn Jupiter for it'll be a whole freaking year. It's not till December that it shifts into Aquarius, which is exciting.
I was just thinking that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Jupiter in Aquarius, like, ooh.
Like Saturn moves into Aquarius on the 16th or 17th, depending where you're at in the world. And then Jupiter, I believe, switches into or moves into Aquarius on the 21st. Or no, it's the 19th, and then on the 21st, both Jupiter and Saturn are conjunct and in Aquarius at the 0 degree and 29 seconds. So that's gonna be fun. I feel like Saturn could really use a little bit of like Aquarian Jupiter energy.
That's fun. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of an opposing energy because Jupiter's kind of like, hey, let's expand, let's get lucky, let's like have the fun time. Isn't that Sagittarius's?
Yeah,
that makes sense. And then Saturn's just like, hold on, we have rules though. Don't get carried away.
It's it's like the archetype of two best friends where one person's like bubbly and like woo yay, and the other person is like the goth chick. But they love each other. That's what I see with that energy. So I'm trying to think of like what special things, from an astrology standpoint, we could use magically as Jupiter babies. But nothing's instantly coming to my mind. Aside from, what I was saying with Mars, transiting it through your chart and focusing on that, of course, we could do. That's all I got.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a few like they're usually like women's groups, but I've definitely seen a few groups of people who will do, yeah, like not necessarily prosperity in money, but just like, yeah, trying to get that expansion or trying to like get the break or trying to, like kind of using that energy to, yeah, put themselves a little forward and expedite themselves a little more. Like, hey, I'm willing to wait for what I want, but at the same time, it'd be nice if I didn't have to. It'd be cool if this just happened. So I've seen a few groups do like Thursday/Jupiter, like meditations and shit. So
Okay. Yeah,
so
I like
maybe,
that. Yeah.
maybe trying to
Maybe
put a little luck out there for yourself.
This
Mhm.
kind of just came to my head while you were talking about that. So when it goes through retrograde, it's a good time to reflect on your philosophical and spiritual aspects. And then, like, when you get out of that, like, obviously take it in accordance with how it transits through your chart and whatnot. But then you start learning that something new, that new thing that you need so that you can get to that abundance level that you want or whatever. And then, what was the last part of this? And then, like, declaring that that is what you want, because this is also a good time to work with magic and around declarations of allegiance to XYZ deities, stages of your life, whatever, what have you. And then like embracing that that is yours. So going through these like rituals of like, this is where I'm at, this is what I want, this is my plan, I'm going to start doing that. I'm dedicating myself the fuck to it. Now look, I already have it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Gratitude.
I like that.
Nice.
Yeah. The gratitude for what is and the hopes and dreams of what's to come.
Right. I feel like gratitude and expansion are going to be two things that we are good at magically. Like, of course, if you're born on Jupiter's day, you can do all sorts of magic, and you should. But I feel like, when we're focusing on expanding our world and our reality, we're probably just going to be a little bit luckier. Maybe. Mm-hmm. Worth looking into.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Friday.
Gotta get down on Friday. Thank you, Rebecca Black, for that banger. Okay. So Friday is Venus's day. In the English language, we call it Friday for the Norse goddess Freya, or there's another goddess, Frigga, as well, but I can't remember. She's some sort of Germanic Nordic goddess as well that's like very akin to Freya, but I always think of her because she's referenced in an episode of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, because they have their elections and Salem's really excited because he voted to change Friday to Frigga, just straight up naming it after her, and I always thought it was so funny. And then I got into witchcraft and I realized that was like an actual, that he wasn't just making up a funny word, like that was an actual deity. Anywho,
Love it.
Venus is, the goddess of love and beauty and art. But it's important to remember that the overarching theme for Venus is what we find valuable. So if you were born on a Friday, you're going to be good at attracting what you value. So it's about attraction and value, because that's Venus, baby. So whatever you're really valuing at the time, which is, it's like if you truly value people who are smart, then like that kind of energy is going to be, coming to you. If you really value money, if you really value art, if you really value loyalty, like just know that your values are what is probably going to be the thing that you manifest more easily. So just being very clear about what your values are is going to help your magical spells and whatnot. Yeah, so let's see. This planet will help you attract the things you value. Working with the colors green or pink is good. To use her for spell work, her being Venus, Aphrodite, Frigga, Freya, whatever you want to call her. Chart her movement throughout the sky. She has an 11-month orbit. She has a 2-month-long retrograde every 2 years, so that doesn't happen super often for her. Compare watch the transit as it moves throughout your chart. So right now Venus is in, I believe she's still in Libra right now. I can't remember exactly when she moves into Scorpio off the top of my head, but I believe she's in Libra. So going to the Libra ruled section of your chart, for me, it's the 8th house. So if I was working with Venus, I would want to focus on 8th house stuff, which is taxes, death, transformation, other people's money, big stuff. Yeah. So focusing on that area and doing magical spell work around that kind of stuff would be good. Now, of course, you're also going to be good at attracting other people into your life. That might be a special power that you have, because Venus is very social. She likes other people, not just romantically, but socially. And you just you're going to be a little bit more luxurious. You're going to like the finer things in life, even if the finer things in life are hot Cheetos, that still counts for sure. But
oh, hell yeah. I love hot Cheetos.
I don't know if you guys can hear my downstairs neighbor.
Yes.
You can?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I apologize.
It's fine. No worries.
There sounds like they're hanging up something on the wall.
That's what I was thinking. Like, somebody's doing some decorating.
Okay, well, hopefully they're done hanging up whatever they're hanging up on the wall as well, so we don't have to hear that anymore. Oh.
JK.
Okay, can you guys talk about Venus for a second?
I think they're having sex.
Right? With a hammer. I think Fridays would be okay. Here's what I was thinking about the whole time we were talking about that, or that you were talking about this, is to me, hanging out with my friends was always more appealing on a Friday than on a Saturday. Like, if someone invites me over on a Saturday, I'm still gonna fucking show up. I'm a Gemini. I love my friends, but like the Friday night sleepover or the Friday barbecues, like that kind of shit, like. My husband experiences this too. He's a Libra, so he's very Venus ruled. But we on Fridays, we always get this urge to just hang out with the people that we love, whether it's we do a movie night with the kids or we invite our friends over for a barbecue. It's been a tough year for us to not be allowed to just do whatever the hell we want with our friends, because we both love our friends a lot. But yeah, it's really a day for us to just be I just want to be with the people I love and do what I have to do. But other than that, fuck off, if I don't love you, I don't want to hang out with you on a Friday. I can hear you just the tiniest bit. I heard you say coven work though. And I think attracting your folks, attracting your squad, it's a good day of magic to kind of call in those people who are going to be there and support you and celebrate with you and all that. Also, glamour magic is what I always associate Venus with. So if you needed a little extra attention, put a nice little glamour on maybe.
It's my microphone.
Oh, see, now I can
I hear you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be pretty. It is Mercury retrograde shadow. You know what? The Mercury retrograde shadow, the pre-shadow, was not good for me. So many electronic glitches. It's not always electronic glitches for me, but you can always tell when the pre-shadow is bad. It's oh, okay. So the retrograde will be fine, but the pre and post shadow will not be. So not surprised that my mic is being fucking weird. But yes, coven magic, glamour magic, very Venusian.
Mm-hmm. Feel good. Try to feel good.
Mm-hmm.
This episode of the Power Through podcast has been brought to you by BetterHelp.com. BetterHelp is an online platform with licensed therapists who are ready to help you wherever you might exist across the multiverse. Now, you must be 18 years or older to use this service, and BetterHelp is not a crisis line, but you can start communicating with someone within 24 hours. They have financial aid available to qualifying individuals. This is a secure, convenient, and affordable platform for your counseling services. Use the URL betterhelp.com/witchy to get your first week free.
This episode is brought to you by Let's Get Checked at-home health testing system. Let's Get Checked is all about personal health testing, making healthcare and health screening open and patient-led, empowering people to use technology in a simple but powerful way, and giving greater control to their personal health. They have a range of tests, including STD testing across all genders, fertility tests, celiac tests, general wellness, and more. Use the code WITCHY on letsgetchecked.com at checkout for 20% off your purchase.
All right. I think we're good. Let's move it on
Cool.
to Saturday.
Daddy, Saturday. So I was born on a Saturday, so this one was for me. It also explains why as for a liberal person, I'm very conservative, but I'll talk about that later. But yeah, so Saturn is named after the Greek god Saturn, ruler of Capricorn. So, it's a strong energy, when your dad flexes his muscles, it's kind of like that. That's the Saturn energy. He's just like, I got this. So I like it. I enjoy it. Magic for this day, good for binding enemies, setting boundaries, restricting growth of things. I kind of was like, that seems harsh, but I was also like, sometimes there's things that just start growing out of control and you kind of like need to trim it back a little bit. Protection magic, establishing stable foundations. For that one, I was thinking like how people used to bless ships and like house foundations or whatever, like that's kind of what that made me think of, but doing it in a metaphysical way, more so than a physical. But also if you wanted to do it in a physical way, I guess Saturday's a good day to do it. Bringing endings or release, increasing discipline or willpower, and breaking bad habits. Which I found interesting because people are always like, start your new diet on a Monday or whatever. But now I'm like, maybe everyone should be starting on Sundays instead. Because Saturday is the day where you're like, I'm done with this. This is where we're breaking it off. We're good. Starting a new thing.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a fun takeaway for everyone to think about when you want to break a bad habit. Start on Saturday, man.
Yeah. Finish it strong. Go all out on Saturday and then on Sunday just start fresh.
Daddy Saturn. Yeah, Daddy Saturn just wants the best for you. And it's tough love sometimes.
It is. Yeah, we just talked in our last episode about about Saturn returns. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it. But as we talked about in that episode, the orbit is approximately 29 years. You'll start having your own Saturn return at 27 to 30, right around there. Saturn spends about 2 to 4 years in each house, just depending on the retrograde cycles and all that. And when it aspects with your natal planets or angles, it'll be periods of 5 months to a year, again, depending on stationing retrograde and etc. So you feel Saturn in your houses for a while. Like if it's in your 8th house, you're gonna feel it for a couple years. You're gonna be like, why am I so sad? And then you're gonna be like, oh, okay, this is fine. We're gonna be all right. So hold tight when Saturn's in difficult placements or transits for your natal placements. Just remember, you can blame the planets if it gets you through the day.
Right. You can do that. I mean, shit, Ella, Saturn is in our 12th house and has been and will be for a hot fucking minute.
I'm like, please stop torturing me. I do not enjoy this.
It doesn't hit my ascendant. Mine's at 17 degrees. It doesn't hit my ascendant, like the exact line of it, until like mid-end February 2022. So, yay.
Oh, super fun. Just question your whole identity. No big deal.
Can't wait.
Yeah. I mean, we all go through it. At some point in your life, Saturn will transit your ascendant and you will question your whole identity.
Question is my life? Without that, I don't know who I am.
Right? Oh my God, maybe yours is gonna.
That's who I am.
Your Saturn transiting your ascendant will be like, oh, I know who I am. And you'll be like, what the fuck, bitch? No.
Don't tell me who I am. I am nothing. Don't perceive me.
Yes, exactly. It's a good time to get organized, set goals, plan for the future. Saturn can be perceived as a really harsh planet to deal with because it gives us what we've worked for and like what we've put our time into. That's why a lot of astrologists kind of like loop it in with like karma or like fate, because it's basically giving you what you've worked towards. So if you've been just fucking off, like, being like, nothing matters, then when your Saturn return comes, you're going to be like, fuck, what's happening? Or, as it's hitting those houses where there's areas you haven't dealt with, you're going to be like, oh, I fully have to deal with this. Or in another 27 years, I'm going to have to deal with it again. Yeah, so some of the crystals you can use with this energy: onyx. Am I saying that right? It's
Yep.
onyx.
Yep.
Okay. Jet, smoky quartz, and malachite. I love all of those, actually. I really, really love smoky quartz. It's one of my favorite protection crystals. I have it all over my house in so many different forms. I would imagine you like some of the dark ones too, since you're a Saturn baby.
I am a Saturn baby.
Mm.
That's funny because my chart ruler is Saturn, with a little Uranus thrown in there, if you will, if you want to get modern and funky. But but then I'm born on Jupiter's day, so it's back to that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction of I don't know, quite that duality of where I am a sad girl and yet at the same time I am that girl who gets so freaking excited when my plants have a new leaf or when I just see a cat on the street, I definitely
Yes.
have that Jupiter energy there too.
Mm-hmm. I get stupid excited about like new fancy things in my house because I have a lot of that like Leo and sixth house energy. So yeah, when I hit that duality, I always think of myself like in Target being like, oh my God, look at this cute bedspread. Look at these fancy pillows, like look at this new purse I got. Like,
I love that.
and then my Saturn's just like, yeah, but how are you paying for this? I don't know.
Don't worry
Just-
about it, bitch.
Yeah, it's just yelling from the other side of the chart, like, shh, no, we don't need that. Thank you.
Stop buying things. What? What did you say? I don't know how to stop.
I feel like Saturday born people are probably going to be really good at like banishing and binding and hexing and protection and all of that kind of realm of magic,
Yes. Yeah, I definitely have found I've found a pretty decent strength. I mean, everyone has more growth and more learning they can be doing, but for me, like protection and like doing like reverse hexes, like where I'll put up, a field around my house. I'm just like anything that's sent towards me goes back threefold, and then like I'll, cyber stalk someone and be like, oh shit. Shouldn't have been throwing bad vibes my way, bitches. So
Nice.
yes, I agree with that, where it's very like when I choose to magically bind someone or to magically like expel them from my life, like even if I tried to get that connection back, it's not happening. Like it's my own magic is just like fuck off, bitch. Stop trying to reverse yourself.
Nice.
Yeah. A couple plants you can use. Carnation, that's one of my favorite ones because it's a big energy builder. Looking at the wrong one. Comfrey, skullcap. Skullcaps are so cute. I love them. Wintergreen, moss, thistle, and pine. Pine is usually what I use for my own self for home protection. Or really any kind of protection. If I'm feeling the bad vibes, I'm like, okay, we're burning some pine right now. Like pine is good. So I really connect with it a lot. I don't know if that's because I'm Saturday born or what, but definitely if you're Saturday born or you're working with the Saturday energy, I recommend pine.
Nice. Cool. And it smells delicious. Well, maybe not delicious. It smells really good.
It does. It smells so good. Ugh. Say something bad about pine. I dare you.
I dare you. Make my day.
I fucking dare you.
Jess, are you going to say something bad about pine?
I was going to, yes.
How dare you?
Do it.
You
Fucking
live
do it.
somewhere where pine heavily grows and it gets fucking everywhere and it hurts and it's dirty and messy and I like the way it smells.
Yeah, it smells great. Might be a bit sticky and messy. Pine has a lot of sap. Like it's a sticky one. Like when I'm making pine bundles, I have to wear gloves. Same with rosemary. Like they're just such sticky plants. So it's like if I do it with bare hands, I won't be able to get it off.
Let's talk about Sunday. Sunday morning, rain is falling. So, as you can probably guess, Sunday is ruled by the sun.
Woohoo!
Woo! So this is like divine masculine energy. This one was really fun to do research into because it's a luminary, it's a star, it's the big ball of light at the center of our star system. And, it doesn't have an orbit because we orbit the sun. So that was kind of cool. So I looked into, or I found information about working with different times of day if you were born on a Sunday, because it's kind of like the sun's orbit, quote unquote, it's not an actual orbit, but it's akin to how we would work with the orbits of the other planets. It's a 24-hour one, well, it's like a 12-hour one. Well, it depends on what time of year it is. Anyway, working from sunrise to sunset, basically. So warm tones are good colors to work with if you're a Sunday person, or if you want to do a Sunday magic. There's so much you can do, so I'm just going to run through it. Sunrise is good for new beginnings, new employment, renewal, or resurrection. Also finding a new direction. So if you're lost and you're looking for new direction, doing magic at sunrise is a good idea. Morning is good for the power of growth, positive energy, courage, strength, activity, and active projects. High noon, aka midday, aka when the sun has reached its peak in the sky, which is going to be different depending on where you live and what time of year it is. This is magic for health, physical energy, seeking knowledge or wisdom. This is a good time to charge most of your tools as well. I say most only because some crystals can get sunburnt, like they will lose some of their color. So just do your research if you're concerned as to whether your crystal will get tarnished in the sun. That's also a good time to make sun water. So putting water out to be charged with the energy of the sun for more energy and vitality. And then you can do whatever you want with that. Make coffee, put it in a smoothie, just drink it as is, use it as, your own kind of holy water, if you will. Afternoons are good for business and communication, travel, and exploration. Sunset is good for the removal of things, removal of blocks of energy, letting go, and releasing rituals. So if you're a sun witch, you can essentially do magic whenever you want. But, if there's something big you want to do, like you want to get this new job, you might want to wake up at sunrise on Sunday and do your magic ritual, your spells at sunrise, so you can work with the energy of the sun to help add a little bit extra oomph into your spell work.
Also, as a former Christian, Sunday is the day where you worship your God, which I find interesting that it's such a, like that masculine, like God energy, That's cool. I like that.
I feel like this special talent or skill maybe that Sunday people have is divine action, because that's what I think of as masculine energy, is divine action. Understanding that our actions have reverberations and repercussions, and just that conscious energy of, if I am acting and thinking and behaving in this way, I'm going to receive that energy back. So I feel like you guys are good at really, which is kind of like that second step of magic, because magic, I feel like, is getting your energy right, but then also acting in accordance with that energy. It's like going back to making money. It's like, you do all the internal work to fix your relationship to money and open yourself up to it and being grateful for it. But then you gotta you got to put in the work to make money, and you also got to spend money. And, you know, that's the more masculine side of it. Like, okay, now that my energy is good, I'm going to go out and get it because I know it's mine if I put in the work. So, yeah, those are our Sunday peeps.
I like that. Sunday for me is usually like a day where I read books. You know? Like I'm always trying to like just put a little knowledge in my brain on a Sunday. I'm like, I just want to read this book. Feels good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely like divine knowledge is a Sunday thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I always feel like I'm like, yeah, I just want to get a little deeper into what I'm doing or where I'm trying to go, you know? It's usually like that, like, oh, I'm going somewhere today. It's just like, I'm just going to take a baby step and just know a little more than I did yesterday and like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we're all little batteries on Sunday where it's like, okay, charge us up for the rest of the week.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of, yeah. And that's, I mean, it's probably a lot too to do with how I was raised. But yeah, to me, Sunday's always been like a recharge day. Like, you know, you go and you see the people that you love at church and you might have lunch with them, you know, which also kind of, when you said like the high noon thing, I was thinking about all like the church potlucks or like the times people would meet up at like, you know, different restaurants and shit around town. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. They're like, you know, deny astrology all you want, but here's the meat and potatoes of it, is that you're kind of all being affected by the sun.
Right.
So I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, I love that. I think that's a very, yeah, it's like a forward but gentle energy. You're like, yeah, do the things, recharge, get ready.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it says that because I was reading articles about sun witches, because so many witches are specifically moon witches, which makes a lot of sense because reclaiming the power of femininity is a very important, you know, thing to do right now in the world, because there's been so much focus on masculine energy that it's become toxic in a lot of different ways for a lot of different people. But yeah, reading about sun witches is really cute, just about how like they just really enjoy like sunbathing and just like, you know, they were saying like you can spot them at a cafe because they'll be sitting in the sunniest spot, and even as the moon, gosh, the moon, oh, Jasmine, as the sun moves, they'll like move with it, you know, they like they want more sunlight. I thought that was whimsical and cute.
That is cute. That's totally my mom. She's an Aries.
Ah, yes. Give me the sun. Give me the fire.
Recharge me. Set me on fire.
Recharge me. All right, you guys. That was the episode. Bye. Just kidding.
And we're out.
You know the spiel. Get out of here.
Right.
Yeah, so hopefully that inspired you guys to reflect and look up what and yeah, maybe add some new stuff to your magical practice. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Power of Three Podcast. Like our stuff, comment on our stuff, hang out with us over there. We post most days of the week. You can also email us to, you know, let us know anything. Maybe we got something wrong and you want to tell us about it, or you just want to say, oh my gosh, I love you guys, you're so pretty and so cool. That works too. You can email us at powerofthree.witchpodcast@gmail.com. Make sure to like and review and subscribe because it is energy and it makes us happy. And then that makes you happy in return. Look at that energetic connection, flow of energy. All right, you guys. Make sure to tune in next week where we will be talking about something else to do with astrology. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.